Hello, good evening, and good afternoon, and good night to whatever you are at in the world. This is to be continued, here with another what if election video. It looks like my previous one about what if Gore won the 2000 election. It actually did the best out of all my videos, so I think this is something that may have caught a lot more attention. So since this appears to be working, I will at least continue on with this. So, for this scenario, we can do what if Clinton won 2016? So here I got the maps put up. So, if you like these videos, hit the thumbs up button. We really appreciate it. So, I still think in 2016, Iowa and Ohio will still flip. And also, oh wait. That's pretty much it. And Clinton will still sweep the West Belt states. So pretty close, but obviously she still won. Now, what would the scenario be? I don't know. I think the only thing that could change would be that maybe Trump messes up, or stumbles throughout the campaign trail, fumbles a little bit, and maybe doesn't do as well as a job to defend against those the attacks that were lodged against him, and thus the scandals are a lot more effective, and it causes Clinton to win narrowly. But in any case, Trump would still lobbying fraud accusations out like he did in 2020. It would not have as it would not it would be very different from 2020. There would be no J6 or whatever. So Clinton, she becomes the first female president, and it's pretty much kind of a combination between a Biden/Obama term. She governs pretty much liberally, but anyways, it's like 2018, instead of being a Democrat wave, it's still it'll be kind of flipped to be more of a Republican midterm, since it usually happens during presidencies. Or it stays Republican actually, because since it was already Republican before 2016. So moving on to 2020, as you see, for the Republican nominee, I chose Nikki Haley and have a VP being Doug Ducey. I think the RNC would want to choose someone a little bit more establishmentarian, thinking that the whole populist thing did not work out. This is also where I think Trump would make a third party one. So for his VP, I just chose Michael Flynn. And this will actually it'll be very competitive. So to fill all the states that Clinton would win, obviously that, and I still believe she could make it through the Rust Belt. Now the trick is this version 2020, how's the pandemic handled? Are there any protests? I'm gonna say that while there isn't really significant, there's no BLM protests since it's Democratic administration. The pandemic still happens, and thus I think there's some pushback. But onto this, I think all these red states is what Haley's gonna win comfortably. Now move on to third party. I think Trump does manage to win some of these more Republican lean states, and thus is able to split the vote. Just I think without the vote splitting, I think Arizona. I believe all this is easily taken out by Clinton. Georgia and North Carolina kind of barely go to Haley. But this would be kind of the first election where a third party significantly subtracts from the electoral count. So thus, after 2020, the RNC is going to be kind of in a shake-up. The vote was split, and Hillary was able to knock out more states, or flip some states that she lost in 2016. So the second term, I think she will be a little more limited, as I can't exactly predict how Congress will turn out. Maybe it was, maybe they do gain some majorities here and there, but I think this term would turn out to be kind of more of a lame duck. I think the more general census is if Trump didn't split that third party vote, maybe Nikki Haley could have won over Clinton due to the pandemic. But going on to 24, I still think DeSantis would be the governor of Florida, so thus he'll kind of present himself as kind of like a mixture of both, like, hey, I'll appeal for the establishment, but also the disaffected Trump voters. And I chose the Representative McClain from Michigan as a more or less a Rust Belt candidate, because I don't know who's gonna. This not. I think the senators in the Rust Belts are going to stay pretty much the same. I highly doubt Vance would be the senator in Ohio in this timeline, but who knows? But in this version, Tim Kaine, he's running this time. He was Clinton's VP, so thus he runs as continuing on the Clinton legacy. And I say I put Pete Buttigieg, because maybe in this timeline he does still work for the Clinton administration, maybe more or less in the second term, but kind of like there also to add diversity into it. But I think there's enough pushback to for Tim Kaine only win Virginia, New Mexico, but I do believe Republicans can sweep at least some of this electorate, because one, no matter what happens over the Middle East, I think it still happen, and thus the Democratic administration still blame Ron DeSantis to kind of weave in and take some of that support from in Michigan. And also New Hampshire. New Hampshire's always an anti-incumbent state, so it will go towards DeSantis, being a trying to balance it out. This would be kind of more the Republican wave than 2016 was. So this I kind of think DeSantis would be more or less viewed as the more populist figure in his timeline. It's definitely a timeline where he would win the presidency. Now you could argue that maybe Trump returns back and maybe is the RNC nominee this time, but after I guess that in this timeline, after the third party run, I think he retires fully. So anyway, this is the alternate history election of 2016. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is to be continued. Signing off.